Okay, hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm here with a guest that's been on the channel before. His name's Mike, and we did an interview back a few weeks ago about his dog. His dog was called Twizzler, that got hit by a car and miraculously survived after being lost for 3 or 4 days. Was it 3 days?
So nearly 3 days.
Yeah,
Gary.
3 days.
He managed, yeah.
And he lost an eye. And anyway, we did this interview, and unfortunately, we had a problem with the sound, and didn't realize it till after we were done. I posted it anyway, but if you've seen it, you know the sound quality was really bad, and it was kind of hard to watch. Anyway, so I've got Mike back on today. We thought we'd chat a little bit about his experiences in the Philippines. He's been here a couple of times now, and has actually moved out with the intention of being here permanently, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, you've had some thoughts occasionally. Is this really where you want to be? And so we'll share some of your experiences about the Philippines, and hopefully that'll be good information for anybody thinking about coming out here. So Mike, just for those that haven't seen the video before, remind people what made you want to come to the Philippines.
Well, it was about 6 years ago when it was all. I've always wanted to come to the Philippines, and 25 years ago, and what secured it this time was my business and Brexit. Brexit came along 6 odd years ago, and we voted out, so we left, and it kind of like, you know, my business was import. Dollar to the pound rate, so the dollar went from a great rate to just an awful rate. So basically, I couldn't import what I was importing all my life.
Right.
So I thought that would be a good time to just sell everything I built up, the workshop, and I just closed everything down and I flew to the Philippines.
Right.
Yeah.
And what year was this that you came? First time?
About 6 years ago now.
So what, 2016?
16. Yeah, it's mid to late 16, I think it was.
Right. And then you went direct from UK to Manila,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
and so
Manila.
All right, and you were in Manila for how long?
I was there for about 3 or 4 days, I think.
Oh, okay, just a quick visit then.
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
Yeah, and you had the intentions, before you even came to the Philippines, that Dumaguete was your destination.
To be honest, Gary, I can't quite remember, but I read some blogs on it, and if I remember right, it was going to be where I was going to end up visiting.
Right.
And after Manila, central Manila, I flew to Cebu, and then I flew to Dumaguete.
Okay, so Manila, Cebu, and did you stay in Cebu?
I didn't stay there for long because it was in the city, and I didn't like it.
So just a quick visit there. And then, so 2016 still, you headed over to Dumaguete. And when you got here, well, what was your first impressions of Dumaguete?
First impressions were it was not a bad little town compared to Manila. What I saw there was pretty dire. Yeah. So
what was dire?
I'm not going to swear, but
no, please don't.
It was just awful. It was just a massive metropolis of, just scum. It was just a filthy, not all of it, because I didn't visit all of it. I was in more like the epicenter. Yeah. But it was just too big and smelly, and I just didn't like it.
Right.
And I went there to meet a girl, and that didn't work out.
Okay, you met a girl, was this before you came out? Someone online you've met?
Yeah, online, the usual story. I met a girl in Manila, and she actually flew to Cebu with me, and we stayed in... No, I'm mistaken. That was another trip I come out. I flew to, the first time I was in a few days in Manila, then me and this girl, we flew to Cebu, and we stayed in Cebu for 2 weeks. That's it, I remember now. And then we went our own way, and then I flew to Dumaguete.
Okay.
That's it. It's come back to me. Yeah, it's an age thing.
Yeah.
It's,
I understand, believe me.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah. Well, not as much as you, because you're older than me. But
well, not by a lot, Gary. Don't.
You're looking good, though. Do you mind telling everybody how old you are?
I'm 64.
64?
Yeah,
looking
64,
good. Yeah. Still got your hair.
Still got my hair and my health, which, touch wood, it's the hair will go. I'm not talking about the hair, but long as my health stays good,
Absolutely.
that's great.
Well, you're taking care of yourself. You're going to the gym and everything.
Yeah.
So that's important.
Yeah.
So anyway, you got to Dumaguete and you rented a place right away.
No, I didn't. I flew back to England.
Oh, so how long were you here?
About 6 weeks.
6 weeks. So you came here basically check out the place.
Check it out.
Which is smart. Anybody thinking of coming out here to live or retire, it's always advisable to come. Spend a few weeks first, look around, see if you like it. So you were here 6 weeks. You went back.
Went back, and then I sold. I went back. I sold pretty much. I kept my house, but I sold. I had quite a nice car collection, American cars, because that was my business.
I've seen pictures. Nice.
45 years importing beautiful old American cars and E-Type Jags. So I had some E-Type Jags. I had some classics. I knew a friend of mine who wanted to start his own paint shop, so he came round and I sold him everything. 45 years of painting equipment, mechanical tools, just sold him everything. So I was left with nothing. And I rented the house. No, sorry, I'll tell her I didn't rent the house. I came back to the Philippines. I left the house available for when I went back. I stayed a few months and then I went back to England, and I came back again and stayed a few months, and I went back to England, and then I rented the house out.
Okay.
And came back and stayed it.
Okay, and that was what year was that you came back then again?
When I came back to stay, that was about
2019?
early 19, I think it was.
Okay, so you'd been a good couple of years back in England.
Back
and planning on coming out some. So your plan in 2019 to come out here and kind of settle down and retire, but then we got hit with the pandemic, right?
Pandemic, yeah.
And that messed everything up, didn't it?
No, it was just before the pandemic. I'd been here for 2.5 years.
Right.
I kind of like my dates probably don't match up. Probably got the dates wrong, but I was here for 2.5 years because I left 6 months before my 3-year visa was due.
Oh, okay.
That was just when the pandemic started.
That's right.
Much.
I remember that.
And I managed to get a flight back to England.
Yeah. And then, well, you weren't planning on going back for a long time, but you kind of got stuck there, didn't you?
I got stuck in England because I got back to England and then they closed down the Philippines.
Yeah.
So I managed to, the tenants left my house. So then I moved back into my house and I basically got stuck in England for a year and 2 months.
Yeah. Well, you made it back here.
Yeah, the Philippines opened up, and 2 weeks later I rented my house and I came back, and that was 5 months ago.
Okay. And has it been 5 months already?
4.5. Yeah, getting 5 months, Gary. Yeah.
Wow.
4.5
so quickly.
months. Yeah.
Okay. So since you've been back here, you've had a few challenges. I know mostly with the places that you've rented. And again, this is pay attention to this. Those are thinking of coming out here because it's so easy to make a mistake on the place you choose to live in or rent. You sometimes will think you've got the perfect place, and it's only after you've been living there you discover all kinds of problems you weren't aware of, and nobody discloses to you. So let's share. What's the first place you rented? You had a problem, right?
Yeah, you're very right in what you say, Gary. You're dead spot on. Yeah, I came back and I knew the system because I'd lived here. Probably been here for over, probably about 3.5 years before. So I knew the renting system, but I fell into doing what I shouldn't have done. I preached and I fell into it.
Right.
I made a big mistake. Yeah, I came back and I got desperate to get a place, and the first place I looked at, I thought it was nice, but I didn't look over the tall fence to see there was pretty much a rooster farm next door after I paid 2 months rent. And
not just one or two roosters, right?
No, it wasn't one or two, Gary. I can honestly say there must have been at least 30, minimum 30, probably 40 roosters.
Yeah.
But I didn't realise this, because when I looked at it, I didn't see them. It was quiet.
Yeah.
Because if you pick the correct time, they are quiet.
Right,
and I think the guy that owned the property knew this. He picked the time, and I went and I paid the deposit.
Right.
It's a big mistake.
Right. And didn't you, just for convenience, I might be wrong, but I remember, didn't you pay you want to pay a few months up front.
Yeah, I paid 2 months deposit.
Another thing that you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, I made the typical mistakes. I can't believe how stupid I was. I paid 6 months in advance.
Yeah.
And a 2-month deposit, house deposit, which was 30,000 and 6 months rent.
And it was only after a few days you kind of
3 days.
wish you hadn't done that.
3 days I realised where I'd moved to.
Yeah.
And I got hold of the guy and said, you know, this just isn't right. You rented me the house. I asked you if it was quiet. He just said my English is bad, and
there you go.
I didn't get any of my deposit back. I lost 30,000.
So you lost 30,000.
Yeah. He wouldn't give me anything back.
But it was worth it to you because it was just unbearable, right?
I couldn't live there, Gary.
Right.
I mean, I don't like losing money, but I had no choice. I couldn't live there.
Okay.
It's just an impossible situation.
Right.
You know, my health is more important than 30,000 pesos, although it's a lot of money to lose.
It is a lot. So you got out of there, okay, and then what happened next? Where did you go?
I made another big mistake that, you know, for me that had been here a few years, it was just crazy. I didn't look around, and I drove down the road from the Rooster House on the main Valencia Road by 7-Eleven, and there was a house for rent. I went in there, and she said, "Yeah, it's very quiet." And I believed her, and I actually,
for the second time, you believe somebody.
Stupid.
Live and learn, Mike.
But I stayed there. She let me stay for 2 days just as a test run.
Okay.
And I stayed, and it was relatively quiet. I thought this is paradise compared to the Rooster Farm.
Yeah.
So I said I'd have it. I paid my month's advance.
Not 6 months this time.
No, I've learned my lesson. You know, me preaching to people how to rent properties, and I made the fatal mistake.
Yeah.
So I paid my deposit, paid the rent, and moved in. And it turned into I was going to swear then, but it turned into an absolute worse than the Rooster Farm, Gary. It was
what was worse about it?
It was, I knew it was close to the road. It was just over 20 feet from the road. But the road, a week later, it was horrendous. 18-wheelers.
It's noisy.
It's relentless. The motorbikes, no exhaust, tricycles,
right?
Karaoke. Behind me, all of a sudden, 3 roosters appeared 10 feet from my bedroom.
Right.
And it was worse than the other place. But I didn't want to lose any more money, so I put up with it for 5 months.
And you're still there?
I'm still there, but
we're looking.
Yeah, I found some places, and I went and saw her today, and I handed my notice in for 2 weeks, which is when the rent's due.
Right.
I've got to move. Yeah. My mental health, it's not doing it a lot of good.
We're going to make sure third time is the charm, and we're helping you. We're going to help you find something, hopefully, and looking in Valencia. And
we found some places, and you found a place, Gary. So hopefully, I can move in 2 weeks. Like I say, I've handed my notice in. I've just got to get out.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, and not only that, it's that I'm coughing. I've got chest phlegm, and it's down to where I'm living.
All the smog and smoke. Yeah.
It is awful.
Yeah. So here's the advice. Just
I'd just like to
please.
Word, Gary.
Yeah, go please.
I kept moaning about the roosters. They moved the roosters. So the roosters were 8 feet from my bedroom, from where the wall is. There's roosters, but they've moved the roosters 3 months ago, and then they decided to build a house right next to the wall, next to my bedroom. So I've got no roosters, but I've got this constant banging, grinding, bashing. Now they're building a house. I can't win. You know, you just can't win. So that was the last straw.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, hopefully you'll find the right place coming up here and have no more issues.
Yeah, I've got 3 good potentials, and hopefully the one in Valencia will come off, and I can move.
If not, you've got a couple of other ideas.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But
so what's the advice here, Mike, for people? Is to number one, if you find a place, Don't take the person showing you the house, whether it's
Take their word
agent
for
or
it.
don't take their word for it. I would definitely make sure before committing to anything, you go up at different times of the day, even at night,
Definitely.
and then listen if there's anything that's going to be a problem. Consider the noise of the street, the traffic,
Yeah.
the smog.
Yeah.
These things, just make sure you're checking all that.
Yeah, good advice, Gary.
We mentioned not paying 6 months in advance.
No,
didn't we?
never do. I made the fatal mistake, and people used to ask me, well, what, people that have come here, I've said, well, another friend of mine moved, 2 friends of mine recently, I told them, do this, and I've done exactly the opposite.
No.
I've done it like, I'm not an expert, but I'm not a novice, but I've done it the novice way, and suffered and lost money and, stress. But yeah, go back, talk to neighbours. I looked at a place in Dumaguete a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
They didn't tell me there was a huge mosque. But I swear, 20 seconds away, fast walking, and I went back at night and there's a mosque, and 5 in the morning the chanting starts. So by going back and speaking to the neighbours, it's the best thing you could ever do.
Right.
And I spoke to a neighbour and he said it starts at 5 in the morning and it's hideous.
Yeah.
Basically, don't move here.
Right.
So if you go back, your advice was the same as mine, Gary. Go back, speak to people, but do your homework first.
Yeah, and pray about it too.
Yeah, and pray about it and do your homework, and don't jump into it.
Right. Remember, you believe in prayer now. That was one of our themes of the last interview we did.
Was.
That a man that used to tell me he was an atheist because it was the manly thing to say, right?
It was but it wasn't the right thing.
Right, but it's what I thought. But then it's like you were a prayer warrior while Twizzler was missing.
I admit it, I was, because he means so much to me. I thought, well, I'll say some prayers.
Right.
And
as I'm getting to know you better and know that you do have a side of you that's curious, hopefully we're going to explore that a little more. And hey, it might lead nowhere, but it might lead somewhere.
Exactly. There's no harm in trying.
No,
you never know what doors will open and what doors will close.
Exactly. We've invited Mike to join us at our Bible group tomorrow, and so for those who are watching, we ask you to pray that goes well, and pray for Mike as well, because I think he'll make a great Christian.
I'm sure it will, and you meet new people, and
and that's it. And there's no obligation, there's no pressure.
No,
you don't have to become
right.
You do what your heart tells you to do and what you want to.
Opens your eyes to other ideas,
and that's what it's all about. Absolutely.
Which is good, and you meet new people, and being here away from England, from your family and your good friends, it's good to meet new people.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to meet some really good people.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm going to finish the video here. It's again, I hope we don't have a problem with the street noise. So hopefully
it's not been too bad.
It can't be worse than the last one. We had the cicadas or whatever they are, the cricket-like creatures that were chirping for the whole video. So hopefully we can Hopefully we're going to hear ourselves on this one. So anyway, Mike, thanks very much for sharing your experiences over here, and I'm sure that's going to be interesting to those people that are thinking of coming out here to really be very careful when renting an apartment or house out here. Do your due diligence.
Yeah, due diligence, and it's very easy to be taken in by the representatives, the brokers for the house. They will. They're lovely people, but they will twist the truth. They will say it's great, it's quiet, anything.
Right.
Some of them to get your deposit.
No,
Once you've given your deposit, then you realise.
Unless you've got a very generous landlord agent that feels, and they want to give you your money back, feels a little bad for you. But in most cases, they don't have to. They can just say, well, sorry.
Exactly. But like you say, due diligence is the best thing. Do your homework and you'll be okay. Yeah. And next time I'll do my homework better. Definitely.
We live and learn, Mike.
Yeah, you do. You do. But that's good.
Cool. Well, thanks again for doing this, and thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.